Hi, and welcome to Broker Tools, where we unpack the tools, systems, and strategies that help brokers optimize the way they work. I'm Katie, your host, and today we are catching up with Jack from Fouracre Financial. For those of you who don't know Jack, he has been managing his broker service, Fouracre Financial, for the last 3 years. In 2025, just last year, he won the New Office Award with the Advisor Brokering Awards and the Growth Award with Auctus Coaching. He attributes most of his success to having a great team, systems, and marketing, plus a great go-getting attitude. At Broker Tools, because we have talked a lot about systems and processes and marketing from the service provider point of view, we thought it'd be great to have a practical, real-world conversation with someone who is kicking some massive goals in their 3 years of operation and has I'm trying to say here, has won some awards along the way. Jack, welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me, Katie. Good to see you again. And we are nominated for another Best New Office Award for the Better Business Awards that's coming up. I forgot to mention that, but it's worth. I'm just wanting to get more and more medallions on my email signature, just keep racking them up.
Load them up. So the audience has a better understanding of where you started out before you became an award-winning business. Can you give us a little background of you? Where did you start before? Were you always in the mortgage broking business?
No. So I guess it all started when I bought my first property. Me and my dad was looking at the paper and he just, oh, look at this. Because we were always saving. Always was my goal and his goal was to help me get into property. So he was looking at the paper back when you would look at properties in the paper, more than 10 years ago. And he just pointed out something that was really cheap that looked to be in my budget. It was off the plan unit. And we went and did that. We had a year and a half to prepare and get the money together, get the loans. And that was my first introduction to what a mortgage broker was and what they did. At the time, I thought it was cool. This lady was working from her house and, she just didn't, she was just a independent broker that just worked from her home and looked like she had a nice house and a good lifestyle. But I didn't know at the time that that's kind of what I would end up being in the future. But when it wasn't the first one, it was actually the second broker that I dealt with that helped me understand how to get out equity and use that to purchase a second property. And it was that I was, by that time I'd really shown an interest in it and I was asking all the right questions to the broker. And he actually said to me, you might have a knack for this. Have you ever thought about getting into it? And I just laughed it off, because at the time I was working in the family business as a milkman, delivering milk. But he did kind of spark something in me that day, and it did put me down a path where I was listening to a lot of podcasts like this one, like the classics, Property Couch, Smart Property Investment Show, really getting an understanding of not just the finance, but also the property side. And yeah, I ended up getting my certificate 4, but I didn't really action it until years later when I just didn't think. I dabbled in broking, right? I didn't actually become a credit rep, but that broker that sparked something in me, he kind of helped me bring on, like he said, if you bring on your own clients, I'll help you with the deals. Did it for a bit, never really got traction and kind of left it. And then it was like 3 or 4 years later before I actually started up again. The family business had sold up. My dad was like, look, you got to go find your own job. Like we're not operating anymore. And, and I thought, geez, I've got my real estate license. I'll go and do property management. And oh my God, was I rubbish at that. I had 4 jobs in the space of about 8 months and it was really bad, and at the time I was engaged to be married and I was, wanting to have kids. So there's a lot of pressure on me to try and make something work. So I thought maybe I'll just fall back on my certificate 4 in finance and mortgage broking. Had a look online and probably just as an entry level role as a broker, it was the highest paying job I had ever had. It was 70,000. I was like, wow, this is great. So got into the interview, absolutely smashed it. Of course, I didn't have any experience, but they didn't have to know the full story about that, I managed to get the job, and on my first day, I walked in, one of the brokers sitting next to me, and I looked over and said, mate, how do you use this calculator? Because they all thought I was so experienced and everything, but really I was a good talker. So that's all you really need to be a good broker for the most part. And once I got into that, within 3 months I went commission only, started my own company as a contractor, and just started smashing it, And the rest is history.
Wow, that is quite the epic journey. I mean, I didn't even know that Milkman still exists, but obviously on a commercial.
Yeah. I mean, I really do attribute a lot of my knowledge on strategy and property to those Milkman days, because when you're that bored driving for that like early hours of the morning, there's not much to listen to on the radio. So I think listening to those podcasts really gave me an understanding on the property side and the strategy side. And it basically showed me that everything I did was the wrong thing to do. And that just made me want to learn even more about it so that I could, not only do it better for myself, but then in future, it actually worked out me helping a lot of people not make those same mistakes. And I think that's why I was so successful, because I had all this knowledge, and I was really honest and open about my failures and trying to help the clients do better. And
that's kind of cool, because obviously you started off in wanting to first buy a property, and then you're on your journey of buying a second property, and then you did that certificate for. And I guess like any entrepreneur trying to start, getting your first client and really trying to close those leads, it in and of itself, it's a learning journey.
Yeah. I mean, I was always driven. Not that I knew it. I guess I really didn't realize my potential until I got into broking. I was always really anxious growing up about what I wanted to do in life, because obviously I wasn't really happy doing the milk run. It was very repetitive, and it was a good, you get money and stuff like that, but it just wasn't, I wasn't passionate about it. It wasn't making me excited. But then as soon as I got into broking, I was able to have that same drive, but actually feel good about helping people as well as making money. So yeah, very grateful. I feel like I kind of fell into it, and I'm just very grateful that I was able to fall into it and do really well. Because now with the business that what we've been doing in the last 3 years, and all the staff that we have, and all the connections and the lifestyle that I have now with my kids and my wife, like I'm just very thankful to be here today.
Which I guess is the whole growth journey that, from my understanding of what most brokers want. Like when you're beginning out, sure, you might start with a brokerage that's not your own, and you might learn through them in the first instance. And then you may decide to go out on your own adventure. What would you say have been the learnings between those two parts of you? Because that would be a big journey.
I mean, if I had my time again, I would definitely spend a lot more time in credit assessment before jumping into the broker land, and get a really good mentor, because I had to seek out my own mentor to like a professional, and actually just pay out of my own pocket to have a mentor, because when I first started, I knew nothing, and I could talk, which could get me out of a lot of stuff, but I just don't think you need to make the mistakes before. Just start from the bottom. Just start from the bottom, do credit, get good mentorship, and don't try to jump into the deep end as a broker and a business owner straight off the bat. It's not everyone can do it the same way I did. And I've seen a lot of brokers get in and fail and get out of it, when they may have been good brokers if they just stuck to it. But it's a very cutthroat industry. It's very difficult. But if I had my time again, I'd definitely start in credit assessment, spend more time learning the fundamentals of, all the little intricacies that are going to come up in the world of finance.
Yeah, because as you were saying it, I realize now that it is a decision tree. So you, as a broker, are actually going through a little decision tree of what is the right actual lending product for the client. And if you don't have enough scenario experience, you can't even pre-assess them. And so having those little fundamentals down pat, more so than selling, helps you make better conversations. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's just experience. Like the more deals that you come through, the more scenarios that come across your desk, the more opportunity you get to work through those scenarios and figure out what the pain points are. Go and speak to a bank and say, hey, I've got this scenario. Okay. I had for some reason, my memory was just great for remembering policy, because
Mhm.
partly the way to implement your strategy with a client is to know policy and know how to place a deal and try to work through the steps that are involved on not just that first step, but what's the second step, what's the third step, what should you consider 6 months from now. Like, just knowing policy and being experienced enough to run through those scenarios is really what it's all about. Outside of, because once you get to a certain point, you have a credit team to do the calculations and data entry and notes and things like that. But you're the one who has to place the deal and actually speak to the client and present to them. So experience is everything, and you just, in credit assessment, you're going to get all that experience you need. There's no
Mhm.
need to jump into broking straight away, because once you go to broking, if you're one of the good ones, you're not going to do a whole lot of credit assessment after that. So that's something that I regret, but at the time I really didn't have another option. I really had some time to make up, and I was getting married, want to have kids, so I was in a bit of a hurry.
And I guess this is the gift of hindsight, isn't it? Like now, because I understand sometimes you do broker mentoring because you had it because of your experience. You go out of your way to mentor other brokers through their journey.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a good point. Just on that, we've got six or seven brokers at the business now, and two of them require mentorship. So I think part of the business model that we're going to build in the future is really developing young brokers.
mhm.
So at the moment, we've built out our whole team in the early stages of like client engagement role, doing phone calls, credit assessment role. I'm only putting people in those positions that have the potential or the want to be a broker in the future. So I'm trying to do it the right way for them, so that they've got all the fundamental skills that they're going to need in order to be a broker one day. And I do actually enjoy helping the younger brokers, try to help them and place deals and stuff like that. Even previous employees that have started their own company, I wish them well. If you have the guts to go out and start your own business, who am I to stand in your way? I got you on as an employee, but if you've got bigger aspirations to want to start your own business, mate, good luck. My phone is always there. Give me a call. And I think on a weekly basis, once or twice a week, I'm still getting calls. Scenario this, scenario that. What do I do? That's the game we play. But yeah, I think not everyone's is going to want to start their own business, but if they've got the guts to do it, I'm happy to help.
Yeah, and I actually love that for you. And I say that because we know how hard the brokering industry is. And I know there have been brokers that I have worked alongside, and when they left their brokering firm, it was almost like do or die, chop, chop, chop. You know what I mean?
I know that all too well. Don't you worry. No, it's cutthroat on. So as an employee, you basically have no rights, but also as a broker that's competing for business, there's clawback. You could be working on a deal and then settling it, and then 6 months later, the entire commission is clawed back. So for a established business that has a lot of flow, you can absorb it, right? But for a new broker that's just starting out, it could be devastating, especially if it happens in a couple times in a row. It's a very cutthroat industry, so it's not for the faint-hearted.
No, and it's not made for the faint-hearted,
No.
for sure. And I guess this is what you're saying is you've now got, like, with your brokerage, because of all this experience that you've had, you're trying to run it a little bit different as a firm. Not only are you mentoring your cubs, if we want to call them that, like the newer to industry, you're making sure that they have all the skills so that should they want to go out on their own, they can, and you wish them well. If they want to stay, yes,
Yeah.
please do. If you were to say what your best systems practices have been throughout this process, what would they be?
Yeah, so within the last 12 months, we've done a really good job of segregating roles. I think what I was doing in the early stages when I didn't have as many staff, we were all wearing so many hats, and it wasn't done in a process, and there wasn't specialized roles. Right now we have maybe 10 different actual titles for the team, right? And multiple different teams, but they all have a specialized role, and it's very segregated to a specific part of the process. Whereas in the early days, it was like, you're Mr. Everything on this part, you're Mrs. Everything on that part, and I'm Mr. Everything on everything. And it was just like, it's really not the way to do it. So I think what we've done well is figuring out the process that works for the amount of volume that we have coming in, and then segregating the roles, making it very specialized so that you just do this part of the process and done really well. And I'm not talking about the brokers here. I'm more talking about the support staff, because every broker, every good broker that you see that gets all the clout, they've all got a team behind them. Nobody does it by themselves. Like all the extra compliance requirements that's put on the brokers these days, it's the banks don't even have to deal with it to the same level that we do. So we do need a back office and support network to be able to do that. But yeah, if I had to say it was something, it would definitely be the segregation and specializing roles that align with the process.
And that's more so your back office than your front office.
Yeah, I mean, it all kind of ties into each other. I essentially, the brokers, everything is the back office except for the broker. And we actually give the brokers support on even just the initial client calls, because just doing initial client calls, not 100% of those initial client calls are going to convert. Right. So I don't want the brokers to have to do initial fact finds, taking down details like that. That's a low value task. Like the high value stuff is the policy and the strategy. We can have someone to call the client, get the fact find details so that the broker can just jump in, sift through, and already know what to say. And the ones that go through that initial call, maybe gives a pay slip or a driver's license here or there, then speak to the broker, the conversion is much better there. So it's a lot less wasted time for the broker when we do it that way. I find that there's just so much, a broker's inbox is relentless. There's just so much stuff coming through there, and they're just like, it's going to the team that it should. Like, to add on calling cold leads and following up cold leads to that, it's just, I think to remove that burden was a big game changer for our business as well.
Nice. If you, I guess, were to mentor somebody who is a solo broker and who hasn't even got their first credit analyst team on them, what would you say the steps are? Because obviously they're doing everything from front to back. And I know that we've just mentioned that we should silo it, but in your experience, knowing what those definitions are, what you thought they were when you first did your transition to what they are now, they're two different things from what I understand.
Yeah.
And so if you can talk through how you would suggest somebody else who's trying to really scale up, how to think about their business as a process, what would you recommend?
Well, there's two ways to do it. Like, some people might start off in a company that already has a support staff that do the low value stuff and do some prep work for them. Other people might just be a one-man band in their business, maybe with one other person. I think obviously if you're the one-man band, you've got to do everything yourself. But if you've got just a small support team or just one or two support staff, I think most medium-sized brokerages could just get a lot done with two support. One to do the credit assessment, and basically credit assessment on a high level is serviceability, pricing, valuation, loan structure. Once you know that it services for the loan structure and the valuation that you've got, you can pretty much send that off to like a processing team or that other person and just say, hey, this is the deal. I know it services, it's going here. This is the pricing. Put that all into the system, into the CRM. That's all data entry. That doesn't require a high level credit assessor to jump in and type it all out in notes. Like, all the technical details was done during the credit assessment, confirming the loan structure with the val and the pricing. Once that's done, get it off. That's the way we do it on a larger scale. But if you just had a small team of three, the broker does the calls, does the strategy, sends it to the credit analyst, check that it services here, get a pricing, get a val. Okay, that works. Bang, send it over to your processor. Get them to do the data entry, ask for all the compliance documents, save and rename documents. So I think if on a small level, you just had two support, you should probably run it like that.
Great. So you're saying anybody who's obviously starting off as a silo, if they were to first, launch themselves, then there's two probably key back office. one a credit analyst and the other person is a processor.
Yeah.
And then the gift of CRMs is that, data entry can happen real time, and in the world of AI, some of that can be automated. So you don't even have to do half of that data entry anymore. What are your current systems? Because you have a CRM, I think, is it Salestrekker?
Salestrekker, yeah. So they just launched a new CRM. It was a bit of an adjustment period, and I think in knowing that 2.0, Salestrekker 2.0 was coming, we kind of didn't make major changes to the way that we use the system because we knew there was changes coming.
Yep.
Now that it's here, we're starting to really work in some automations so that deals flow within the teams and clients get followed up automatically. But they've got AI, like next to the compliance notes section, they've got little AI things in there that you can just
generate,
click a button and generate. And I'm sure that other support staffs would just do that anyway. Like it's a no-brainer. Like the stuff that you can get from AI is just so accurate at the moment. It's just, I mean, especially with policy, like there's Wikibroker, Brokerpedia, Finance and Coffee, you have your communities where you ask little scenarios. Chuck that out the window now. Honestly, like I actually am in some of those groups, and when I see them pop out, they'll ask a scenario question. I copy and paste it, put it into Gemini or Grok, and then send the answer back to them. And they're like, "Wow, thank you so much." It's like, it took me 5 seconds.
You can do this scenario.
And I read it. I'm like, that's 100% right. That's perfect. You've given like lenders to reach out to, things to consider. It's great. So for policy, because all the lender policies and their updates, they're all online, right? So AI is drawing on all of that, and it's perfect. Like, and you can't compete with that.
No, and I think Scenario, the AI application, is also joining into Salestrekker as well. So Salestrekker can also have those features in there, which makes that whole streamlined process for you.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of companies that are trialing AI fact find, like conversational fact finds. I've seen that. I think the actual technology is ready. I just don't know if the market is ready for it. Like, I don't know if customers would be happy with having a conversation with an AI, giving personal details and stuff like that. I think it's coming for sure, but just like the older generations, you'd probably lose a fair bit of customers if you launch that company wide. But me personally, I've tested it. Like when I'm trying to book at a restaurant, they're asking me all these details. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good,
Yeah.
I can use that, but I just don't know if I would implement that across the board for my business. I think that initial call being a bit more personable, and I think that's a bit more pleasant to deal with.
Yeah, and I think this is also a great conversational topic, is that you're not actually just jumping straight into AI. You're doing sure, you'll do your lender scenarios in AI, but you're not incorporating necessarily SMS chatbots right now.
Yeah, but it's not, I know that there's a lot of brokers that are doing it. I know my flaws. Me personally, I'm not a tech guy. I know I'm only 30. I should probably be more into it. I'm just not a tech guy. Like I'm really good at sales, strategy. I'm a good leader within the business, but tech, that ain't me. So I have to hire like coaches and other businesses that kind of fill that gap for me. But yeah, it's not me. So partly it's my opinions on where AI is and how soon it's going to be implemented across the board. But the other part is that I'm not one of those guys. Like a mutual friend of ours, the guy, he's very techie, he loves that stuff. So I'm just aware, I'm just self-aware that that's not me. But sure, I'm looking at it closely because I know that there's a lot of changes that are going to come into the market, and we're already seeing aggregators adopt things like that. So yeah, when the time comes, I'll be jumping on it, but I just don't think it's there right now for me.
Which I think is a great thing, because you can still scale and grow, which you are doing in kicks and stride without it.
Yeah, we just hit 500 million on the book as of last month, which was a big milestone. 500 million, can say that. So I'm going to start planning the $1 billion party.
Yeah.
It's going to be gold suits, everyone wearing gold suits.
Nice. It's one of those things where, like, some people are tech enabled, but they're not really growing their loan books or doing the sales. And I think if you were to help people scale up or take them on a journey of what are the key pillars to making them have a stronger growth business, what would you say that is? Because technology is great, but it can only do so much.
Well, you need the business, you need the inflow. Like you're either going to have referral partners or you're going to be marketing. So if you don't have the inflow of business that's steady enough for you to build out those systems, because the only reason I was able to build out a team of, now 40 strong was because we had the business coming through the front door, right? And it was consistent. If we didn't have that, I would never have built it out. I would have just been like keeping it as lean as possible, because to some businesses, the business could just stop overnight. So you've got to have the business coming in, whether that's referral partners, really strong referral partner relationships, or marketing. So pick which one, do a bit of both, figure that out first. Once you can get some steady flow coming in, then you can start to work out the systems, the processes, segregating the teams, specializing it. But yeah, I think, and for a lot of brokers, not the established ones, but for a lot of brokers that are just starting out, they all say that the biggest pain point is leads, like trying to get quality leads, because you can, man, I get approached all the time from companies that are like, oh, we do these, blah, 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 the best leads. Sure, mate. I know exactly what leads you're selling, and they're rubbish. Like the ones that you get from online marketing and things like that, buying packets of leads, they're always horrible. You have, if you're going to do it online, you have to have a personal brand. You have to have credibility. People have to see you and know you. Now, when people come through the front door, they're not talking to me, right? They know it's my company. They're not talking to me. But every now and again, when I do talk to them, I introduce myself. They're like, oh, I've seen you on the podcast. Oh, I've seen you online. I was like, that's credibility. Like, you might not think that posting every day actually matters, but it does. Like, it really does. If people have seen you and they trust you, they're going to work with you more likely than not. It's not always just about generating business. It's like getting your name out there, getting your face out there, trying to be seen. That's really, the personal branding stuff is super underrated.
Yes, and we've had a couple of conversations on this podcast with different broker coaches. We've had Sam Panetti and your favorite coach as well, Christian.
I work with Sam and I work with Christian. Those are the two coaches that I'm working with out now. So shout out to them.
Yeah, which is, this is the thing, because the gift of both of those coaches is that they focus on two different areas. So Sam's great for content, and and Christian is great for systems, and that's how you got them in your business, helping you.
Yep. No, they're like, they should join forces. I mean, because you can pretty much, if you've got some money to invest and you work with those two guys, they've got your whole business covered. Honestly, they've got you all covered, from marketing to the tech. Like, really good.
Yeah, and what you're ultimately saying is that personal brand or any kind of brand recognition is probably the key thing, because this whole know, like, and trust part component, because of the world we're now starting to enter into with AI and even fake personas out there. The way you talk, the way you actually speak, people are starting to get to know you as a human, and they almost pre-qualify themselves before they even reach you.
Yeah.
If you were to work through any other strategies for people, because obviously leads is a big core part, and then having them have the first call, in my experience, having worked with some other brokers, it's this core structure sometimes that a broker goes through that may not land because they're too busy trying to data dump, is what I call it, on a phone call. What would you say would be, I guess, a good way to have some of those beginning conversations, so that if you're new to the industry, you want to be able to somehow do at least a first close?
Yeah, so part of me thinks that you're either born for that, you've got the gift of the gab, or you just don't have it. Like, and as much as like I've got some really technical, smart people in the business, and then I've got some other people that maybe lack the technical knowledge and skills, but can really talk well and relate to the other person on the other line. The person that relates to the other person is going to get better success in sales and in broking, because it is a sell. It's not so much about the technical aspect. The person on the other line wants to know you, wants to trust you, and it's not always about what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. So part of me feels like that you can't teach that. Like you're either born that way or you're not. And like that's how typically you would end up as a credit analyst or you end up as a broker. It's based on how personable you are and if you can talk and you got the gift of the gab, really.
Okay. And so if you wanted to hone it, it's really having the ability or the willingness to get the gab. If you could.
I don't know if you can teach it. I don't know. Luckily, I was born with it, or so I've been told. But I just don't know if you can actually teach it, because I've had brokers come through that, or what people that want to be brokers come through that want to try to, but like I listen to their calls and I'm like, oh, geez, I don't know if the sales is come naturally to you. And because I've never had to do any sort of sales training, and I've never had to have any sort of implement any sort of sales training to my staff. I know it's out there, but yeah, maybe I'm just naive to that or inexperienced, because I've never taken someone that I thought maybe you're not the best salesman, given them training or help them get training and then seen them come out the other side. I haven't seen it personally. Yeah. I'm not doubting that it can happen, but I don't have the skills to make it happen.
Yeah. Okay. So in your frame of reference, if you were to take someone on a journey as a mentor, you kind of just pre-check their capabilities. And if they don't even sound like they could have a good conversation, you would probably redirect as to maybe focusing on a different area of business, because as you're saying, the large part of being a broker is sales and communication and being relatable.
Yeah. That's my experience. I'm not doubting that people can change, and even if they're not the best talker or communicator, they can't get those skills. They probably could. That's just not my area to get people from that place to where they want to be. I haven't really, haven't gone down that path myself.
Hey, that's okay. And I think this is part of what I call the important parts of conversations that you and I are having, because everybody has their skill set, everybody has a strength, everybody has a weakness. It's about knowing what works for you and what doesn't. And if you are trying to get more leads and your conversations are hit and miss, it's either finding the right coaching or support to round that out or change that, or redirecting your career.
Yeah. I mean, it is cutthroat. It's a cutthroat industry. Can't sugarcoat it.
No.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah. So if you were to give a recommendation or help somebody on their broker journey, what would you say? What would you offer?
Yeah. So listen to podcasts like this. The Advisor podcast. There's specific broker podcasts just talking to people in finance. Try to think about something that you want to niche in, like an area that you want to specialize in, because this day and age, it's very easy to target niches. And if you do that one thing really well, you'll more likely be able to generate business from it. Starting credit assessment, for sure. Get the technical knowledge that you need, because all brokers need to have that technical knowledge. And I think that's good. Yeah, I think that's a few things that you'd focus on.
Perfect. And like you said, if you are not even starting in this industry, sure, having a certificate will get you a door into the beginning, but it doesn't really teach you anything. I have a certificate for too, and I did not learn anything. And I've not tried to be a broker. I've decided to focus on CRMs because that is my skill.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it is like, and I know that there's courses out there. Like Christian has a credit assessment course. That's not the first one he's done. He's actually done a few and he's refined it. So courses like that's actually going to help you be a broker. I wish the Cert 4 was really going to help, but it just doesn't.
It just doesn't.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where, sure, do your Cert 4, but really find a great mentor to work alongside and get your credit and analyst skills down so that you understand the workflow, and then really focus and hone in on building leads, putting out your brand, start networking, because without leads, the rest of the system building just won't work.
Yeah, I think like getting the niche, getting really clear on what your niche is, and it could, it's just something that you're passionate about. Like for me, it was helping people buy investment properties, scaling investment portfolios. Like that's something that I was interested in personally. And that's just, I kind of fell into that niche without realizing I was targeting it. I actually went into a bunch of buyer's agent groups on social media, and I was just having as many meetings as possible. And it was like, only at the end of the day, I think I had like 30 meetings total over a 6-month period, but there were 2 main referral partners that I kept and had for years, and that built my whole business out off supporting their clients. So yeah, I think just target a niche and speak to that niche online, and try to network, and great mentorship is definitely going to help.
Nice. If people wanted to reach out to you, Jack, or maybe get some mentorship, where should they go and what should they do?
Yeah, so Google fouracrefinancial.com.au or Mortgage Freeman on Instagram. You can just DM me there. I'm always happy to have a chat, help people out.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining me on this pod. If anybody has more questions for Jack, feel free to put them in the comments below. Like, share, and do all the good things. Thank you so much again, Jack, for joining me on this conversation.
No, thank you. It was great. Great fun.
Okay, bye.
Bye.